Hello dear students, I am Anjali Saraswat, TDT Science from KV2 Agra Kent, Agra. I hope you all are safe, healthy and have become comfortable with online sessions of learning. Today we will study chapter 2, Is Matter Around Us Pure? So let us start. As we all know that everything in this universe is made up of material which scientists have named matter. The air we breathe, the food we eat, stones, clouds, stars, plants and animals, even a small drop of water or a particle of sand, everything is matter. So children, we can say anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. All matter is composed of discrete tiny particles called atoms. Now, see the classification of matters. Scientists have evolved two types of classification of matter based on their physical properties and chemical nature. On the basis of physical state, matter is classified as solids, liquids, and gases. Whereas on the basis of chemical composition, matter is classified as mixture and pure substance. Mixtures are classified as homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. The composition of homogeneous mixture is uniform, whereas the composition of heterogeneous mixture is non-uniform. Now see pure substances. Pure substances we will discuss in detail in next step. Now see pure substances are further classified as compound and element. Compound can be chemically decomposed, whereas element cannot be decomposed. So children, let's see what are pure substances. Pure substances are elements or compounds. They are made up of only one kind of entity. They cannot be broken down into simpler entities by chemical or physical methods. They have a fixed composition. For example, diamond, carbon dioxide, water, etc. Now see, what are mixtures? Children, mixtures are formed by just mixing two or more pure substances, components, such that each substance retain its own chemical identity. This is very important that components of a mixture retain its own chemical identity. Now mixtures can be classified as homogeneous and heterogeneous. Let's see what is homogeneous. A mixture which has a uniform composition throughout is called a homogeneous mixture or solution. As for example, sugar in water, salt in water. Come to the heterogeneous mixture. A mixture which contains physically distinct parts and has a non-uniform composition is called a heterogeneous mixture. For example, mixture of salt and iron fillings and sand and sugar, sulfur and iron. So many mixtures. Now see the types of mixtures based on particle size. We can classify them as solution, suspension and colloidal solution. Again, solution, suspension and colloidal solution. You can see the example solution like salt in water, suspension, sand in water, colloidal solution as milk. Now see solutions. What is solution? A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Now see what are the properties of solutions. Its particles are too tiny and have a diameter less than 1 nanometer. The particles are not visible to naked eyes. Particles do not scatter a beam of light passing through it and hence do not show the Tyndall effect. Next, the solute particles never settle down on keeping undisturbed. The components of a solution cannot be separated using filtration technique. Now children, there is a very important term, alloys. What are alloys? Alloys are the combination of metals with metals or metal with non-metal. So we can define alloys as alloys are homogeneous mixtures of metals or a mixture of metal and another element that cannot be separated into their components by physical methods. Examples: steel, a combination of iron, that is metal, and carbon, non-metal. Bronze, it is a combination of copper, which is metal, and tin, metal. Brass, a mixture of copper, metal, and zinc, is also metal. Children, in general, alloys have been found to be stronger and harder, less malleable, less ductile, and more corrosion resistant than the main metal making the alloy. That's why we use alloys. Next. Now come to the concentration of solutions. First of all, we will discuss what is solubility. Solubility is the property showing the ability of a given substance, which is the solute, to dissolve in a solvent. We can say that solution is made up of two parts. One is solute and other is solvent. Solvent is in which the solute is dissolved. Okay. It is measured in terms of the maximum amount of solute dissolved in a solvent at equilibrium. The resulting solution is called a saturated solution. You can also define saturated solution means that no more solute can be added in solvent at that particular temperature. What are the factors affecting solubility? First of all, temperature. Solubility increases with temperature. And then the pressure. For the majority of the solid and liquid solutes, pressure does not affect solubility. The solubility of gas is directly proportional to the pressure of this gas. Now, types of solutions based on the concentration of the solubility. We can further classify it as dilute, concentrated, and saturated solution. Again, see dilute. You can see in the figure, less amount of solute in solvent, that is dilute, more amount of solute in solvent, that is concentrated, and saturated solution means no more solute can be added in it. Now, what are the ways of representing the concentration of a solution? There are two ways. Number one, mass by the mass percentage of solution. We can calculate like mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. Another method is mass of volume percentage of a solution is equal to the mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. In this way you can calculate the percentage of a solution, concentration of a solution. Now, what are suspension? A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium, as for example, sand in water, chalk powder in water. Now, what are the properties of suspension? The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed. They can be separated from the mixture by filtration because the solute particles form the sediment. They settle at the bottom. Now see the colloidal solutions. Colloidal particles are in between the particle size of solution and suspension. So colloidal solution is a mixture in which the substances are regularly suspended in a fluid. They are classified into foam, emulsion, sol, aerosol, so many. Now, what are the properties of colloidal solutions? The particle size is too small to be seen with the naked eye, but is big enough to scatter light. Second, a colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. Thirdly, colloid is quite stable. And now there is a very important term, that is Tyndall effect. What is Tyndall effect? Tyndall effect is the scattering of light by particles in a colloid or else particles in a very fine suspension. For example, it can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest. You can see a beautiful picture showing Tyndall effect in forest area. Now see, there are important terms. One is dispersed phase and the other is dispersion medium. So what is dispersed phase? The solute-like component of the dispersed particles in a colloid form the dispersed phase, whereas the dispersion medium, the component in which the dispersed phase is suspended, is known as the dispersing medium. Now the examples of colloids. First of all, aerosols. What are aerosols? See children, a colloidal solution with dispersed phase solid or liquid and dispersing medium gas, then it is called aerosol. As for example, clouds means the dispersed phase may be solid or may be liquid, but the dispersing phase is medium is gas. Another example of colloid is foam. A colloidal solution with dispersed phase gas and dispersing medium may be solid or liquid. For example, shaving cream. Another example of colloid is sol. A colloidal solution with dispersed phase solid and dispersing medium liquid, then it is considered as sol. For example, milk of magnesia, mud, etc. Come to the gels and emulsions. Now what are gels? A colloidal solution with dispersed phase liquid and dispersing medium solid. Then it is called gel. For example, jelly, cheese, butter, etc. And now what are emulsions? Emulsion is another example of colloidal solution. It is a colloidal solution with dispersed phase liquid and dispersing medium is also liquid. Means liquid in liquid is called emulsion. For example, milk, face cream, etc. Now children, there is another part of this section of your chapter, that is separation of components of mixture. Depending upon the properties of the components, different techniques are used to separate the components of a heterogeneous mixture. So children, see, heterogeneous mixture can be separated into their constituents by simple physical methods because they are heterogeneous. Physical methods are used to separate the components. Examples or methods which are used: hand picking, sieving, filtration, etc., etc. Now we will discuss one by one different separation techniques. The first technique is separation of two immiscible liquids. Immiscible means which are not miscible. As for example, oil and water, kerosene oil or any oil and water. These two, the oil density is less, so it forms the upper layer or it is just over the water. Okay. Now, separation of mixture of two immiscible liquids is done by using a separating funnel. You can see the picture. What are the applications of this method? To separate a mixture of oil and water, and in the extraction of iron from its ore. Now see another technique. Another important technique is centrifugation, which we use in day-to-day life. Regularly we use. So what is centrifugation? Centrifugation uses centrifugal force for the separation of two liquids in a mixture. Here, a denser component of the mixture migrates away from the axis and lighter components migrates towards the axis. Yes, you can give the example. At home, we also separate cream from milk. So what are the practical applications? Used in diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine test. Used in dairies and home to separate butter from cream. Used in washing machines to squeeze out water from wet clothes. Next technique, that is very important, sublimation. Sublimation is the transition of substance from solid phase to gaseous phase without changing into liquid phase. Means solid, on heating, solid directly converts into gas as well as vice versa. Means gas directly on cooling, it converts into solid directly without passing through the liquid state. For example, the substances which sublime on heating, they are naphthalene, ammonium chloride, iodine, dry ice. Dry ice is the solid carbon dioxide, camphor, anthracene. Now see this picture. This picture is showing separation of potassium chloride and ammonium chloride salt by sublimation. You can see that the vapors of ammonium chloride, they condenses in the funnel, and in that way these two salts can be separated by sublimation. Next method. Another important method is chromatography. So what is chromatography? Chromatography is used to separate the different components in a liquid mixture. What are its applications? To separate colors in a dye, to separate pigments from natural colors, and to separate drugs from blood. You can see the pictures. Next, another method is distillation. Distillation is a method for separating the component substances from a liquid mixture by selective evaporation and condensation. That means two processes are involved in distillation. Number one, that is evaporation, and then condensation. What are the applications? Used in the production of gasoline, distilled water, xylene, alcohol, paraffin, kerosene, etc. You can see this picture. There is a flask, water or liquid, the mixture, the component of the mixture that evaporates and gets condenses and collected in a separate jar, beaker or container. Next, that is the fractional distillation. Fractional distillation, we can say the more advanced form of distillation. So fractional distillation is a method to separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids. Two or more miscible liquids. Whereas in distillation, we were using only two components. Here we can separate more miscible liquids for which the difference in boiling points is less than 25 Kelvin. This is very important. The mixture is heated to a temperature at which one or more fractions will vaporize. What are the applications? To separate different gases from air and to separate different fractions from petroleum products. As you know, in petroleum refining, by the process of fractional distillation, different products of crude oil or petroleum are produced. As for example, separation of air into its components. You can see the picture here. Air is a homogeneous mixture and can be separated into its components by fractional distillation. This is the schematic diagram of separation of air. Now, next method is crystallization. Crystallization is a separation technique in which solids are separated from a solution. In this technique, the solvent molecules start evaporating, leaving behind the solutes when the solution is heated in an open container. What are the applications? Purification of seawater, separation of alum crystals from impure samples. Here you can see the separation of substances by crystallization technique. Now children, we will study about physical and chemical changes. What are physical changes and chemical changes? There are so many changes we observe in our surroundings. We can discriminate them. We can identify the physical as well as chemical changes on the basis of few properties or characteristic features. A substance is said to undergo a physical change when only the physical properties such as the shape, size, color or state of the substance change. No new substance is formed and the physical changes are reversible. A beautiful example you can see here, that is boiling water. You can see another form of water, that is the solid, the frozen, that is in the form of ice cubes. Water, melting of ice, boiling of water. That means water, ice can be converted into liquid and liquid can be converted into vapors. But on condensation, the reverse process will occur. So it is a physical change. Now come to the chemical change. A substance is said to undergo a chemical change when a new substance with completely new properties, both physical and chemical, is formed and they are not reversible. Example, burning of wood or paper, souring of milk. So many examples, growth of a plant, germination, photosynthesis, respiration. You are familiar with so many examples. So these are the differences between the physical and chemical changes. Now children, there is another category, that is the type of pure substance. You have studied the type of the mixtures. Now the types of pure substances. Pure substances are classified as elements and compounds. Let's see what are the differences. Elements cannot be broken down to simpler substances. It is represented by a symbol. Compounds have fixed composition. I'll tell you how the composition is fixed. Have fixed composition. Can be broken down into elements by chemical or electrochemical reaction. As for example, compounds like CO2. In CO2, there is one part of carbon and two parts of oxygen. In the same way, H2O, water, two parts of hydrogen and one part of oxygen. So always they have a fixed proportion. The components mixed in a fixed or chemically they form a compound and they have fixed ratio. Now the elements are classified as metals, non-metals and metalloids. You know very well the properties. These are the examples: gold, silver, copper, iron, so many examples. Whereas non-metals, hydrogen, carbon, bromine, oxygen, nitrogen, for so many. Whereas metalloids, boron, silicon, germanium, like this. You know very well the properties of metal. They are sonorous. Generally they are hard, lustrous, good conductors of electricity and heat, right? On the other hand, non-metals, they just show the reverse features from metals. They are non-lustrous, they are brittle. Exceptions are always here, right? They exist in liquid and solid liquid as well as in gaseous form, whereas metalloids have the properties in between the metals and non-metals. Now children, come to the next topic, how to discriminate between mixtures and compounds. First of all, elements and compounds just mix to form a mixture and no new compound is formed. Okay? Whereas in compounds, elements react to form new compounds. Next point, a mixture has a variable composition. Variable composition means that the composition or the ratio may change. That will be considered as mixture. That will not be considered as compound. But in compounds, the composition of each new substance is fixed. Next point of difference is a mixture shows the properties of the constituent substances. As for example, children, do you remember iron and sulfur? You can see that sulfur is yellow in color, iron is grayish black, and iron can easily be separated from this mixture by magnetic separation, right? That means the properties are still there. But in case of compounds, the new substance has totally different properties. So another point of difference is the constituents can be separated easily by physical methods, whereas the constituents can be separated only by chemical or electrochemical reactions. Okay, children? Now, I hope this presentation will help you to understand the topic well. Some useful links are provided here to understand activities related to this topic. So thank you. Stay happy, healthy and safe. Bye bye children.